Alright, how's it going? My name is Emmanuel Benjamin, and before we jump right into my presentation and personal project today, let me just tell you a little bit about who I am and how I personally relate to this. Okay, so I was born in Nigeria, and I pretty much lived all my life there up until the year 2017. That's when I first moved into the United States. So growing up in Nigeria, I was fortunate enough to have basic amenities such as water and education accessible to me. That's something not a lot of kids, back in Nigeria are fortunate enough to have. And for that I'm super grateful for. And my story today is built around those kids who are unfortunate to have something as common as clean water available to them at all times, and how it greatly impacts them and what we can do to help. So now that we have that all out of the way, let's jump right into it. Nigeria has been ravaged constantly by bad leadership for decades, pretty much since the British left in the 1960s. As a result of this, basic infrastructure such as water, is not available to every single person in the community. Primarily lower and poorer communities. You know, in a study conducted in the year 2017 by, the UNICEF and WSP, 121,000 plus Nigerians die each year as a result of bad drinking water, and 87,000 additional, kids die because of waterborne diseases. So diseases such as dysentery, cholera, malaria, amongst many other diseases that a lot of people are fortunate to only have read about in books, ravage kids on a daily basis in Nigeria. So now the main question is, what did they do to survive? Kids in Nigeria are the ones charged with taking care of things in the house. So what they do is they go over to natural sources of water, such as rivers and streams, to fetch water that they can drink. But the problem with this is that most of these rivers have been polluted by decades of fossil fuel and crude oil mining. So a lot of the waters are pitch black, and they have pounds and pounds of garbage dumped right into them. So they're not suitable for drinking, but they don't have a choice, so they drink it either ways. And some of the kids are not educated, so they don't even know how bad the water is until they get sick. So that's the problem with that alternative. It's not doing any of them any good. It's not quenching their thirst, and it's killing them in the process. So now what can we do to help? That brings me to my solution today. So what I propose for this, as my solution to this problem, is, you know, a borehole system. So a geologist is going to be brought into a certain community to survey the land and find the spot where water is closest to the surface. Now that that spot is found, we're going to work with a team of engineers, to obtain licenses to operate on a certain land legally from the government. Okay, and once that license is operated, we can then move on to the next phase of operation. All right, so for the next phase of operation, a mechanical drill such like the one in the picture is going to be brought into that community, right? And once it's brought into that community, it's going to we're pretty much going to drill into that point that the geologist pointed out, that water is closest to the surface. All right, so now we're pretty much going to work with every single person in that community to make sure that they see how the process works and how the drill is operated, how the water entire system is going to work. So that way, once we depart from that particular community, people in that community will know how to maintain, that water system to make sure it's functioning even after the engineers are gone. So once the water system is fully dug, a pump is going to be installed in the hole in the ground, and it's going to route water from the ground straight into a reserve tank. And that pump is electrical, so it's going to be operated by a simple light switch. And that light switch is simple, off and on. So on turns on the pump and pumps water to the reserve tank, and that tank is going to be piped straight into people's homes. All right, so the tank is going to be piped into the houses, and is going to provide water to every single water source in the house. So every single tap, bathtub, sink, whatever is going to have water gushing out of it all the time. And whenever water runs out, that pump can simply be turned on again by the switch to refill the tank and continually supply water every single time sustainably. All right, so now that that's pretty much done, every single person in the community can be happy once again. For that now at least they have a basic human need met, and they can then grow to try to like um, get their education and every single other part of the community up and running once again. So clean water is something that a lot of people over here take for granted, but there's so many countries in the world that don't have this available to them at all times. So just visiting other places will really give you a great idea of so many things that you can be grateful of. So that is pretty much what my presentation is for today, and thank you for listening.